Most therapists build their businesses through hustle, pressure, and constant competition. But as a Christian business owner, you have an invitation to do things differently. In this episode, I'll be sharing about how partnering with God in your business will change everything. I pray that it helps you tap into all that we have access to as sons and daughters of God. Thanks for listening. Hey, Christian therapist, are you craving a counseling career that aligns with your faith and actually supports your well being? Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm Kimberly Van Hooser, Christian therapist, private practice owner, and business coach for mental health professionals like you. In this podcast, you'll get practical strategies and faith led guidance to help you build a thriving private practice, one that serves your clients well and makes an impact for the kingdom of God. So, what are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and join me for today's episode. Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Van Hooser. If you're listening to this in real time, it's not too late to join Practice with Purpose, which is my first ever group coaching cohort. It's launching March 30th. This will be a small group mentoring experience. I'll be going live with you every single week. Each week, I will be sharing the basic strategies and steps for how to start or grow your private practice. But I've also spent this past week just taking time to discern what else God has on his heart for this flagship cohort. And he's just been reminding me that as Christians in business, we have an invitation to do business differently. We don't have to do it the way the world usually does it, with a lot of hustle or striving, with showing up on social media the same way that everyone else is. Instead, if we get to partner with God in our business, we get to lean on his wisdom, his strategies, his design for who we were made to be in private practice. So that is something I really want to invite the members of Practice with Purpose to do, is to understand what it means to have God as a business partner and to learn how to discern his voice more clearly so that they can run the private practice that is not built on the world's standards of success, but is rooted in God. If that's something that resonates with you, I'd love to have you join us. Check the show notes for how to get signed up. And really, my time with the Lord as I've been praying over Practice with Purpose is the inspiration for today's podcast. As Christians, we often forget how much we have access to as sons and daughters of God. We have an invitation from God to have a real relationship with him. The more that we make space for this relationship, the more that we are intentional in taking time to listen to the Lord, to talk to him, to hear him, the more that he's able to reveal to us of his wisdom, of God given strategies, who he designed us to be. Think about it. When you were in your mother's womb, he knew that you would become a therapist. He knew that you would launch a private practice. He put that desire in your heart. This means he knows every single client that you have ever helped and ever will help. So, the more that we foster our relationship with the Lord, the more that we're going to know what type of practice we're supposed to build and create, what type of client we are created to serve. And I see so many Christians who are business owners, but they kind of keep it separate. And that's not only doing themselves a disservice, but it's doing a disservice to the people that they are trying to help. This doesn't mean that they're not helping people, but it possibly means that they're not helping the people that they could possibly help best, or they're not running their business in the way that God has in mind for them. And I really don't think this is always intentional, where someone who's a Christian and is starting a private practice is like, I'm going to leave God out of this. But I think it's really easy, even as a Christian, to get caught up in just the practical steps for how to start and run a business. And there is wisdom in learning practical strategies in the normal way for starting and growing a business. So that's not wrong. But I think our businesses can have so much more of an impact when we are discerning God's heart, when we're allowing ourselves to be Holy Spirit led and directed in the decisions that we make in our businesses. I know for myself, it's easy to get lost in the comparison trap of seeing all of these, what looks like successful therapists or successful business coaches on social media. And I think, oh, I need to do it that way. That's how I'm going to become more successful. And it's usually coming from a good desire of wanting to learn and to grow in my business and what I do. But sometimes I get too focused on trying to show up the way everyone else is. And I've really felt God this past week reminding me, Kimberly, you get to do things differently. The world doesn't need another business coach to tell them how much money they can make in a month if they follow your strategies. What the world needs is a business coach who reminds them that I am the foundation of their private practice, who reminds them that I want to be their CEO, who guides and directs them. And if they'll let me, I want to be their business partner. So don't get caught up in that trap of comparison, of trying to show up like all the other therapists you see. Remember that God created you specifically to be a therapist, and He has a special design for what your private practice is going to be. If God has put private practice on your heart, He has this as an assignment for you. We have an invitation to accept that assignment. We have to remember that we are not the owners of our business, but ultimately it belongs to God. If you follow other Christian business owners, a lot of times they will talk about having God as the CEO of your business. And I do believe ultimately God is the ultimate authority who gets to call the shots in my business. I want to listen to him and accept his assignments. But even more so, I think God also wants to be our business partner. I don't believe that he just wants to be uninvolved and says, here's your assignment. Okay, go do it. We'll have our quarterly meetings or whatever. But when we say, hey, God, I don't want you just to be my boss, but I want you to be my business partner, that shifts things. When I'm partnered with God in business, it becomes much more relational. I'm not doing business just for God, but I get to do business with God. And I don't think that if you choose not to partner with God in your business, that you're going to be wildly unsuccessful. I think that there is a lot that can be done from doing business for God and just seeing him as that CEO or our boss. But if God is willing to be your business partner, why wouldn't you want him to be? In my experience, he wants to be intimately involved in all that you do. And as I was reflecting on this, I was thinking about how my stepdaughter loves doing Legos with her dad. And sometimes she'll just play Legos on her own. And my husband is happy to let her go do that. But there's times when she's like, Daddy, come build this with me. And there's something that's so beautiful about him entering into this time with his daughter and them building and making things together. And she gets to be creative and share her expertise and her desire for what she wants her Lego set to look like. And then he'll also be making suggestions. And they have something that is so much more beautiful when the two of them build it together than either one of them could have done on their own. And I do believe that that's God's heart for his children. That when we say, hey, daddy, I want you to build this with me, that he is happy to meet us there, to give his input, his insight, his guidance, his suggestions, and to let us also be creative as well as we build. So when we partner with God, not only do we have our own skills and abilities that I believe he has gifted us with, but we have access to his wisdom, his strategies, his guidance, also his peace and his protection. Private practice can feel pretty scary sometimes because it does sometimes feel like you're on your own. And when I remember that God is my business partner, even when it seems uncertain or looks unstable, I am much more at peace. And I notice that when I'm at peace, I'm able to run my business so much more smoothly. I'm able to do it without fear. And that actually leads to more success in my business than when I'm trying to do it all on my own or to prevent disaster from happening. When I remember that I'm partnered with God, I get to breathe a little bit better. I get to relax. I don't feel like it's all on my shoulders. I'm pretty good at seeing God as my boss. And recently, this past week, he was like, you have invited me to be your business partner, but you are hogging all of the work. You need to take a break. You need to rest. You need to let me do some of the work. And that is such a good reminder to know that I'm partnered with him. I'm not alone in my business. That if I feel like I dropped the ball somewhere, that I can trust that he's going to pick it up. So I would encourage you to take some time and reflect on this. Think about if you want God as your business partner and not just your CEO. Have you even made God your CEO, or have you been just kind of going out on private practice based on your own strength? I would encourage you to take time to intentionally dedicate your practice to the Lord. Even if you've already started your private practice, you can dedicate it to Him right now. You can make some changes in who has been running your business. You can say, I've been trying to run it, but God, I want you to be in charge. Dedicate your practice to Him and invite Him intentionally to be your business partner. When we give God permission and room to work in our lives, in our hearts, in our practices, amazing things happen. I hope that this episode has resonated with some of you, maybe been a little eye opening for those of you who didn't even realize that you don't have to do this on your own, that you don't have to do this apart from God or distant from God. He wants to be intimately involved if you allow Him in. If any of you have questions or feedback, you're welcome to email me at Kimberly@KimberlyVanHooser.com. If you would like to join my flagship group coaching program, that starts on March 30th. Registration will be closing just a couple days before that. Check the show notes if you would like to get signed up for that. And once more, if you have questions, you can shoot me an email as well. I would love to have you join me. Thank you for listening today. I look forward to having you with me next time. If you found value in today's episode, would you leave a written review on Apple Podcasts? It helps other faith-led clinicians like you find the show. And don't forget to join my free Facebook community, Start and Grow Your Private Practice as a Christian Therapist, where you'll join other clinicians for encouragement, accountability, and free tips and support. See you there.